Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have more UFO stories. In these accounts we're going to be reading today, folks, I have this story involving this white orb that was seen near this shuttle launch, and this 1946 U.S. Navy encounter with a UFO. Let's get into the first story, titled White Orb Observed During Space Shuttle Launch at Cape Space Center, Cape Canaveral, Florida. On the morning of May 27, 1999, a highly trained aerospace support specialist witnessed an extraordinary aerial phenomena during a space shuttle launch at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. What appeared at first to be a distant white light revealed a structured interior unlike any known aircraft or atmospheric phenomena. The timing and behavior of the object raised unresolved questions about surveillance and intelligence gathering during critical aerospace events. Let's read the actual account now. Hi, Lon. At the time of the incident, I was employed by Computer Science Raython as a meteorological electronic specialist assigned to Kennedy Space Center. My role during space shuttle missions, STS-96, was to monitor and respond to any malfunctions in weather instrumentation that could affect launch operations. I was stationed at the KSC weather station on the morning of the launch. At 6:49 a.m., the space shuttle successfully lifted off from Pad 39B as part of the launch sequence. The two solid rocket boosters separated from the shuttle approximately 2 minutes after liftoff. Wanting to observe this event more closely, I retrieved a pair of military-grade 8x40 field glasses from inside the weather station and stepped onto the observation deck. While looking east over the Atlantic Ocean toward the shuttle, I noticed a large white light moving slowly from south to north. The object appeared to be near the shoreline at an estimated altitude between 500 and 800 feet. Based on my location, the weather station was approximately 5 miles from Pad 39B and just over 6 miles from the coastline, which provided a reasonable reference for estimating distance and altitude. When I focused on the object through the field glasses, I was stunned to see what appeared to be the interior of the white orb. The object was slowly rotating clockwise inside the orb. A continuous series of brilliant T-shaped energy forms was being emitted. These forms originated from the center of the object, expanded outward, and then vanished. Each cycle began with a, very small T-shape that grew significantly larger before disappearing. The entire process from small to large occurred over roughly half a rotation of the orb, which I estimate took over 5 seconds. The visual effect reminded me of a small spark-producing toys that use a flint and a rotating handle, except this display was entirely contained within the object. The intense light was confined to the center, while the outer edge of the orb appeared as a, dark ring that prevented any light from escaping. The appearance strongly resembled that of a chicken egg when candled under a light source. The orb itself appeared hollow, like a spherical shell cut in half, with a continuous internal energy source generating the luminous activity. Based on the precise timing of its appearance during the launch sequence, I formed the impression that the object was observing or collecting data from the space shuttle mission. After the launch, I spoke with an employee from the company that operates the film and video camera systems at the Kennedy Space Center and asked whether the object had been captured on any recorded footage. He told me it had not, but he mentioned receiving numerous phone calls the following day from individuals asking about a mysterious light seen in the area during the launch. I later filed a Freedom of Information Act request with NASA regarding the incident. The official response stated that no responsive records were located. So very interesting, folks, and I'm not surprised that this guy, when he filed his FOIA request, he basically got a nothing burger. Maybe there is evidence, folks, of this orb, but it looks like if there is, folks, it's been filed away and basically, placed in the same warehouse that the Ark of the Covenant was stored in at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Either way, folks, that photograph probably isn't going to be, or footage is not going to be seen anytime soon. But the fact that this orb could basically be seen through, folks, reminds me of another report of a UFO that basically was like an orb inside this glowing square. So it reminds me of that. Very interesting story, folks. But let's move on to the next article. USS Anchor ARS-13 UFO encounter 1946. Radar tracked object circles Navy ship between Guam and Pearl Harbor. Let's hear about maybe the first UFO sighting that took place after World War II, but before the start of the modern UFO era. So let's get into it now. In the months following World War II, as the U.S. Navy repositioned forces across the Pacific, a series of unexplained aerial incidents quietly unfolded out of public view. One such encounter occurred in mid-1946 aboard a naval rescue vessel en route from Guam to Hawaii, witnessed by multiple officers and confirmed on radar. This report matters because it predates the modern UFO era and challenges the belief that such phenomena began in 1947. Let's read this story now. The following account is rewritten from the original report filed by a U.S. Navy quartermaster and recorded in the ship's official log. The narrative is presented as the witness's recollection. In late May or early June of 1946, I was standing watch aboard the USS Anchor ARS-13 during the 1600 to 2400 shift. We were underway from Guam to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, crossing open Pacific waters under clear conditions. Roughly halfway through my watch, I observed a bright bluish-green streak appear on the port side above the horizon. The object was approximately 30 degrees above the horizon and moved at an extraordinary speed from the northeast to northwest. What immediately stood out was its trajectory. It was perfectly straight, parallel to the horizon, with no arc or descent. At first, I considered the possibility of a distress flare, but flares are red and follow a curved path. I also ruled out meteors, which likewise arc downward. This object did neither. Its movement was linear, controlled, and far faster than any aircraft or natural phenomena I had ever seen. I immediately reported the sighting to the captain. He arrived promptly, along with the first lieutenant. Upon witnessing the event, the captain ordered the radar operator to check the scope. The radar showed a clear contact circling the ship at an estimated distance of 1 mile. The object completed a full circle around the vessel approximately every 10 seconds, an impossible speed by known standards. Concerned that the radar might be obstructed, the captain ordered a sailor to climb the mast and physically inspect the radar equipment. No obstructions were found. The radar contact continued for roughly 10 minutes, maintaining its rapid circular pattern. Without warning, the radar contact abruptly changed direction and streaked off the screen at an extreme speed. The visual phenomena did not reappear. Present during the incident were I, the captain, the first lieutenant, the executive officer, the engineering officer, the radio operator, and the radar operator. A complete report was formally entered into the ship's log aboard the USS Anchor ARS-13. There were no further incidents during the voyage. At the time, no one aboard referred to the event as a UFO. In 1946, the term was not yet in use, and there were no cultural frameworks to interpret such encounters, e.g. Okay, folks, what are we to make of these stories today? This account basically might be the first encounter the USS Navy had at the time with a UFO like this, folks. But there had been prior, encounters with Foo Fighters during World War II, folks. But this account basically might be the first account of an actual UFO sighting by the U.S. Navy, folks. That is surely very interesting. Though there have been, stories since that basically there was a crash back in the 30s, both in the U.S. and, in various places like Germany and, Italy. But that and those stories can be subject to debate that they actually happened. But this story, folks, and the story we read earlier with this orb that basically was seen during that 1999 shuttle launch basically really tells us that these entities are here, folks. Who they actually are, we don't know, but they seem to be interested in us. Either our technology or how we're using it, folks, because they've been seen over military bases, basically nuclear, power plants, and so on throughout the decades, folks. Why are they here? Once again, we have to ask that question. We just simply don't know. But folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the description so the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.